What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Now in this video we're going to be using AppGyver to build a very interesting and even a very useful app. And so this is going to be a very comprehensive tutorial. We're going to be talking about some advanced features of AppGyver in order for you to build this very interesting app. And the app we're going to be building is a COVID tracker, okay? And so one of my favorite things to do from time to time is just type this result. So you can just type COVID and then the name of the country. And so if I type COVID USA, I have this nice graph and I see some nice stats. This is what I'm looking at. You also have state by state stats as well. You can also go in here, and now we're not going to build an app that does a lot of these complex things, but we're going to build a very simple app that's going to display things like cases, recovered, deaths, etc., and other statistics from certain countries that you can define or you can hard code. It's really up to you. And so this is going to be an app that you can take anywhere that you want. You can enhance it. You can make it more interesting. It's really up to you. And so let's get started. And so here we are in AppGyver. I have a AppGyver account. You can create a new account. We're going to create a new app. But before we should be creating a new app, you want to start thinking about where you're going to be getting this data from. And there are lots of places to get this data from. You can get, a CSV file. You can get a spreadsheet file. It really depends on you. But one of the easiest ways to get started is by going to a place called Rapid API. I really like Rapid API because I have access to all kinds of interesting data. APIs. API stands for Application Programming Interface. And really, this is a way to connect to other services, to other apps, to other data sources. And most of these APIs have a very generous free plan. And typically, whenever you're building an app, you're playing with an idea, it's a good place to start. And so if you come in here and we type COVID, you're going to have a lot of results, and you can take a look at any of these. You can go to all results and you can see some things. But the one that I ended up working with is this one right here, COVID-19 data. Every 15 minutes, update a statistic about coronavirus. Latest stats by country are collected from several sources. I think that's what it's going to say. And so this is a great app. I'm already subscribed to it. So if I click on it, I can go ahead and I can subscribe to it, right? So if I go into pricing, look at this. I have 50,000 requests per month, and this is absolutely free. And for $5 per month, I have unlimited. And then if I want, some extra special features such as this Get All Countries API, it's gonna be a $20 a month plan. Now, for our basic needs, the $0 a month plan is going to be more than enough. We also have a rate limit of 1 request per second, which is absolutely fine. And the other thing you want to pay attention to is the service level and the popularity as well as the latency. So really what I'm looking at is a service level. I want to see a service level of at least 95, 96%. Obviously, the higher the better. 100% is great. And this is going to be perfect for our app that we're going to be building. Now, once I go to pricing, I take a look at pricing. I'm going to go into endpoints, and this is where I have all the calls. So I have kind of two categories, right? I also have a help, but we're not going to talk about that for now. We have country and we have totals. Now, the thing about this API is that certain calls you cannot do, and this is why it's very important to test the calls that you're planning on using. For instance, this get latest all countries, if I go in here, and I click on test endpoint, it tells me that you're not allowed to access this request with your subscription. So this saved me a lot of time because this is a great API call, but unfortunately I have to pay for it. So we're not going to be using this call in our app. Now, if I go in here, I'm going to be getting the same error message. Well, it's going to be slightly different error message, but this is a status 403, which is forbidden. So we can't use these two calls unless we pay a little bit more money, which is fine because the calls we're going to be doing is, for instance, get latest country data by name. This is perfect, right? And it requires a country name. In this case, we have Italy. We're going to test endpoint, and we see data, right? We have confirmed, recovered, critical deaths, and then we have latitude, longitude of Italy, country Italy, code Italy. But really, what we're looking for is these four pieces of data: confirmed, recovered, critical, and deaths. right? We can do that. Now we have a couple of other calls as well. We have get daily report by country code. We have IT here, which is Italy. We have another call and another call. And so you can implement all of these calls depending on your use case. But for the purpose of this tutorial, we're going to be using this call, get latest country data by name. And all you have to do is execute this URL. You're going to be sending data, your parameter, to this URL using a GET request with these two headers here. And then you're going to be getting what looks something like this, essentially an array of one country. We have one item. It's an array of an object, or one object with these fields or key value pairs, whatever you want to call them. And so now that we kind of understand how the data is, what data we have access to, we tested it, which is kind of a nice thing about this Rapid API. I can test things. I can take a look. I can see my request in other formats if I'm writing a Java app, a JavaScript app. But typically what I want to do is I want to look at HTTP, because HTTP just tells me in a very raw format. I see the GET request, I see the query string, I see this is country, and I have the host. Another thing that's useful is to go to the JavaScript. You can do JavaScript fetch, and that way you can see the whole request here with the domain name and the header. So sometimes I use JavaScript fetch. You can also use JavaScript HTML request. It's the same thing, but fetch is a little bit easier. You can also do jQuery. jQuery is also an option. And in this format, you see the requests, you see the methods, you see the headers really, really easily. You can ignore all these two things here. You don't have to worry about that. So now that we understand how the data works and everything like that, we need to go into AppGyver and start configuring our data access layer. And so I'm going to go into AppGyver. I'm going to build a brand new app here. We're going to create new, and we're going to call this app this. We're going to call it this. We're going to hit create. And it's going to go out and create a skeleton for our brand new app. All right, so here's the skeleton. What we want to do is we want to click on this data menu here, and we want to add a data resource. So we're using REST API direct integration. And here's where you need to add your, your parameters, the URL, the headers, all this data. So the first thing you want to do is you want to configure base. I'm just going to call this something like this, or even shorter, something like this, something like this. The URL is actually right here. It's in the header, right? This is the URL. It's this thing right here, just the URL. We're going to go back here. We're going to paste that. Now, the next thing we want to do is we want to configure our HTTP headers, because that is where the authentication is. If we configure them in base, that means we no longer have to configure them in any of the methods. So it's going to save you a lot of time. So we're going to go in here. We're going to copy and paste our headers here. So the first one is X Rapid API key. This is a key that we have been given when we signed up for Rapid API. And remember, guys, this is the free plan. So this is static. So we're going to go in here, copy this key right here, and go back and paste it here. It's static. That is all we need to do. We're going to hit save. And the next thing we want to do is we want to add another parameter, and this parameter is called XRapid API host. And as you can see, both of these are required, right? It says required. All of that required. Even the country name is obviously required. And then you have some optional parameters, but that's fine. So we're going to go back. We're going to configure this label here, key here. We're going to go in here and copy this thing. Okay. Go here. This is also static. We're going to hit save. Now we got this base configured. The next thing we need to do is we need to configure one of these. Now you can configure collection or record. Now the difference is collection returns an array. Record returns an object. But if you look at this response here, so if I go into results, you see this is an array, right? You see this square brackets. That means this is an array. So that means you need to configure get collection, okay? And so we're going to go in here. We're going to type country. And we don't need to fill this out. We need a query parameter, and this is going to be just the name parameter. We're going to say name, and this is not static. Default value is optional. It's not optional. The parameter is not optional. We're not really going to be passing any default value because we're going to be passing it in the app. So we're going to hit save. The next thing you want to do is you want to go to test, and you're going to specify our parameter. We're going to say Italy, and we're going to say run test. Now, when we run it, we have status OK, which means this is good. and we have the results. So we got the data we wanted. It's working well. As you can see, this is an array. So it would not have worked if you used getRecord, because getRecord expects an object. GetCollection expects an array. So we're going to go into schema. And what you want to do is you want to click on Set Schema from Response. Once you do that, in the Schema tab, you're going to have all of these nice variables. These are key value pairs in your HTTP request response. And now you can actually access them in your app, which is kind of what we want. So we're going to hit Save. The next thing you want to do is you want to close the screen, and you want to go into variables, right? You want to toggle this View Variables. You want to go into Data Variable, and you want to create a data variable. So this really depends on how the app is going to be. So let's kind of think about how we want to do the app. Now, the way I see it is that you can do it a million ways. You can just do it for one country. But the way I see it is I want to show, so for instance, in my idea, I want to show recovered for 5 countries. So we're going to pick Italy, Spain, Portugal, Greece, some kind of, Southern European countries, Italy, Spain, Portugal, Greece, and what else we want? And Croatia. Okay, so some kind of, Southern European countries. Okay, so that means that we need 5 data variables that are going to be making 5 calls with different countries, okay? So if we go back here, we can start designing it, but you want to go into variables, and you want to go into data variables, and you want to add a data variables. This is the data variable name, and I'm just going to call it IT. You can even call it Italy, okay? And this is from this resource, and this is going to be a collection, but then the name is going to be static text is going to be Italy, okay? Now we're going to save that. So let's add more data variables. You can add more. So this is, I'm going to call this Spain. ES is the code for Spain. We're going to say static text is going to be Spain. We're going to hit save. And I'm going to add 2 more. Just, a nice round number of 5. And this is going to be Portugal. PT is Portugal. We're going to go to static text. We're going to pass Portugal. We're going to hit save. And then we're going to go, this is going to be Greece. GR is Greece. Static text. GR. Actually, no, Greece. Let's see if I did that. Did I do that for Portugal? Yeah, I did it for Portugal. Italy, I have it. Because you have to write it down. I think, I don't remember if it's lowercase or uppercase. I'm just going to make everything lowercase. And we have Spain. And now, last but not least, we have Croatia. And Croatia is going to be static. It's going to be Croatia. And actually, the code for Croatia is HR. So now I have 5 countries, 5 variables tied to that record, tied to that resource, which is Covid19, linked to that rapid API call, okay? And so we're going to go into view, and now we can say, whatever, we can call the headline something like COVID tracker here, and then we can actually have our variables, right? So for instance, let's say this is going to be, so we can actually do something like a list item, maybe we can do a list item, we can do a row, so maybe something like this. We're going to drag that here, and this is going to be a row. And so we can have multiple of these rows. So we can have 5 of these rows, which is kind of this complex field. And this is going to say, let's say Portugal. This is going to say Spain. This is going to say Croatia. I'm just going from west to east. This is going to say, what do we have? Portugal, Spain, Croatia. Ooh. Let's see, what else do we have? Italy. Forgot about Italy. So this is going to be Italy. This is going to be Croatia. And this is going to be Greece. Okay, and so now this is where we can actually make the call. Okay, this is a container. This is a cell. And what we want to do is we want to drag a title. We want to drag a title right here, and we want to make it a little bit smaller. Let's see. Actually, maybe, yeah, well, title. Yeah, let's make it a little bit smaller. Typography, font size 22. Okay, that looks nice. and we can actually copy it. We can drag it here, copy it, drag it here, copy, drag here, and then copy, drag here. And these are going to get the data from the call. So if we go into properties, let's make it centered. Let's go style. Typography is going to be text align center. Nice. Portugal, we can even have flags there. We can have an image, right? We can drag and drop an image as well inside and have, different country flags too. Download them from, Wikipedia or something like that, some free resource. So we have Portugal here. What we want to do is we want to go into properties and we want to tie this to a data variable, right? So this is going to be actually we want to do repeat first. And you want to go into data variables. You want to tie it to a data variable. And the first thing is Portugal. We're going to tie it to PT. And then the content, we can get the content, right? We can say data. Actually, no, we want to go back. Data item in repeat. And there's only going to be one item, right? We want recovered, right? So if we go in here, we have recovered. Okay, saved. Okay, we're going to go in here, Spain. It's going to be repeat. It's going to say data variable, data variable. We're going to ES, which is Spain. And then we want the content, item data and repeat, current, same thing, recovered. Recovered, Italy, we want repeat. Data variable, this is Italy, save. And then we want the content, data item in repeat, we want recovered. Okay. And the same thing for Croatia. Content is going to be data. Let's go back to repeat with data, and we're going to pick Croatia here. And the content is data item in repeat, current, last one, recovered. And last but not least, we have Greece, the beautiful country of Greece. Data variable, Greece, there you go. And content is going to be data item in repeat, current is recovered. Okay, so this is all done. Let's see if it's working, right? This is the moment of truth. We save the app. We're going to go to our launch. We're going to open app in preview portal. We're going to open the app and let's see what's happening. And so this is the data we're getting. Now, as you can see, it's slower. And that is because under our plan, we are only allowed 1 request per second. So we're being throttled. Obviously, if you had a higher plan, if you were using your own API, you would not be having these issues. But in this case, it's being throttled a little bit. And so as you can see, all the numbers are here. So for Portugal, we have this number recovered. For Spain, it's this number. This number, Croatia, is relatively smaller. And Greece is the smallest. So for Croatia, it's the lowest number. For Greece is second lowest. Then we have Portugal. Then Spain, followed by Italy. And Italy had the largest number of recovered. And I assume they also had the largest number of infected as well. And that is why you have these numbers. And so that is a very, very simple app. The only thing about this app as is that we're being throttled. We're only allowed 1 request per second. And this is just the beginning, right? This is a way to show you how you can build an app using AppGyver that uses something called data variables. And so we have a bunch of data variables, right? If you go in here, if we close this and we go into variables, we have 5 data variables that are all based on that one HTTP resource, this Covid19 resource, except we're passing in different parameters, right? So we're passing in different countries. Now, as you saw in the API, you can also do get latest by all countries, but we don't have access to that API. And that is why we are doing a lot of requests. Instead of using just one request to get all data, we are forced to use multiple requests in order to request different countries instead of getting a bunch of countries together. It would have been nice if they allow us to specify a list of countries. So for instance, IT, ES, PT, GR, etc. We can just specify it like this and we can get a list. But that is probably an API that you have to pay for, okay? Because this is we don't have access to this API. We're going to be getting an error message. And so there you have it, a very, very simple app using a great service called Rapid API. You can take this as far as you want. You can also display graphs. You can display flags. You can, make it, change the design if you want. There's so many things that you can do. It's really up to you how far you want to take it. Now, let me ask you, what kind of an app do you want to see next? Do you want me to build a more complex app? Do you want to know how to, create images, flags? Do you want me to make graphs with AppGyver? Do you want to see more bubble videos? Let me know. I would love to hear your feedback. And also, if you enjoyed this video, like the video, leave your comment below, leave your suggestions below, or just, let me know if you enjoyed this video. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet already. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next video.